All right, folks, we're back. Thank you for watching that commercial break. So, we don't know how long today is going to go on, by the way. It's kind of a little bit up to the fatigue of the players as well as the fatigue of the casters, but we'll try to get as much out of today as we can. Neeb has officially shown up, by the way. Luckily, he was kind of freaking out, thinking like, oh, do I need to play? And we're like, no, we just need to know if you were here. So, going to the board now. Neeb does advance forward to Ruins of Saris. That's the end of his turn, because he's going to move one tile per turn. Who comes up after Neeb? Let's open this up. I forgot what the order was. ShoWTimE and then Lilbao. And again, Lilbao, I believe, is currently playing in the semifinals of the Underdogs tournament, so it's very unlikely we'll see Drogo put him anywhere close to the front lines. At least it would be a mistake in my eyes to do that. So I do believe he has intentions to have him land grab kind of around the backside. But we'll get back to the board in a moment. Players just right now contemplating where they want to go. What I like about this is it does add a layer of strategy. It's a little bit more to think about than simply like, oh, I'm just going to attack relentlessly through the middle of the map. Best of three, best of three, best of three. Because if you do, the other team could just go around the outside of the map, collect all the tiles on the board, and eventually win because you didn't stop them.
Yeah.
Folks are asking if we can upload these to YouTube. They have been getting uploaded to YouTube. If you guys missed the previous days, the first day seriously had the sickest games. Lots of ace matches in those best of fives. Would 10 out of 10 recommend checking them out. YouTube.com/BaseTradeTV for those who don't know. Also, I'm wearing my new hoodie today. It's pretty sweet. It comes from Corsair. These are not available for sale because the people were asking on Twitter about where you can buy them. That's what feels so special about it. You can't buy them. ShoWTimE advances to Rakshir. He's going to be able to just land grab that, which is a little unfortunate for the Templar, considering this is a very difficult map to take, as we've learned in recent days. This best of five tends to go on a little bit long and rough.
Yeah. Yeah, everyone rushed the middle, I think, as I said, being
like
the
a
most
blitz.
obvious answer. But that's actually not the most obvious one. So there's Lilbao taking
the backside. So now we'll refresh and go to restart the turns again. So we only re-roll the turn order on every new day. The turns themselves will just simply rotate through over and over and over again. So next up is going to be Hearthstone, I believe. Let's continue to move around.
Mm-hmm.
I love this comment out of Drogo. He literally says, "We fought so hard for that damn Rakshir," and he just walks in there and takes it. I mean, should have held on to the board piece. Tile count, by the way, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 for the Tal'Darim right now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 for the Templar. So no one's really that close to hitting that 12 stride yet. But again, needs to be in the back of everyone's mind who's watching, as well as the players who are playing. 12 tiles does mean end of thing. Now, what I think should have happened, and I don't know if this would be in our own rule set, because you walk into a land and grab it if no one's there. You don't actually have to spend an action point, right?
Well, to grab it, you do.
Oh, you do. That's right. Because I was just thinking, like, Lilbao has to go northwards, I guess, next. And we'll take him 2 turns either way. So I was going to say you could have recalled or whatever, right? But never mind. While this goes on, the players are still contemplating their new turns and their new turn order. Again, reminding everybody in driving home hard about the sponsor for this, not because I want you guys to go buy watches, and I do, believe me. If you buy watches, they're sick, they're awesome. Here's mine. I actually kept it near the computer this time so I could show it off on stream. They look really nice. They're awesome. I'll even wear it here in a second, but the thing is we're doing another $150 code giveaway today, and I really want you guys to sign up. I really, we got about, 900 people tuning in. I want to see at least 90, I want to see 10%. I want to see 90 people signed up for this code because it's worth $150 and it will ship to you anywhere in the world. They'll send it to you whether you're in, like, Antarctica, Canada, Europe. I don't know. I'm naming names. They might actually not ship to Antarctica. I shouldn't say that. But the point of it is, I'm pretty sure it's worldwide shipping. And I would really love for you guys to check it out because it's a chance for you guys to cash in on watching the tournament. All you gotta do is give them your name, email, and Twitch name. And if you're here live at the end of the broadcast when we announce the winner, you'll have a chance to win. But yeah,
The 12 tiles don't count the capital, right?
Yes, it does.
Oh, okay. So.
But this watch looks pretty nice. I'm just saying, guys. It's made of wood. It's very light. It's nice. So woodwatches.com/base to get in on that giveaway. But they're discussing where to go, and Puck advances now to Ruins of Saris. That'll be the end of his turn. Harsum also advances towards the orbital shipyard side of things. So what I really like about this is when you're moving together as a team, you obviously can't help each other directly in battles, but you won't have this position so awkwardly presented where Neeb was able to just walk in and claim Rakshir for free because there was nobody behind it. They all went so hard on the front lines, nobody was there to defend it afterwards.
Mm-hmm. It is now Drogo's turn, and I imagine he'll try and face ShoWTimE, but he might move and let Neeb face ShoWTimE.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because ShoWTimE and Neeb, in my opinion, are probably the two best players here. Just objectively. I don't even necessarily mean at PvP. But no, Drogo's going to take the fight. So Drogo attacks into ShoWTimE for his turn. So we're going to have a best of 5 going down on Rakshir, guys. This also means we go to Europe and stay on Europe, which will be kind of nice. Drogo looking really good in that last series. I mean, really good. That I can see him taking on somebody like ShoWTimE. But sure. At the same time, ShoWTimE made Neeb look like nothing. Like, Neeb and ShoWTimE I thought was going to be a much closer series than it ended up being. But alright, this leads to a fight on Rakshir. So I'm going to get the lobby up. I'm going to go make a quick little tweet about it.
Just need Drogo on EU.
Oh, hang on. Did this finally get announced too? We did! Alright, so guys, there's a tournament coming up on the 17th. I'm just going to retweet this. And I'm going to link it in chat. I'm going to spam it in chat. Y'all motherfuckers better go check it out. Snoot was working closely with Avex to make a pro-inspired map. This is done like 99% of the work by Snoot from what I understand, with Avex helping. But the really important thing about this is we'll be casting it on Friday. There's about a $250 map pool. And a lot of it's going to be emphasized on showing off that one particular map. So I got a small preview of it. I didn't even know the map name or anything like that. But now I get to see it in full, and it looks pretty cool.
Yeah, it is very pretty. I don't know if that's what Snoot was like. Make it prettier. 10 times prettier.
Well, I mean, if that was his goal, he was smart to work with Avex. Avex is like the guy to make a map look pretty over functional. But let me just finish this tweet up. All right. After winning his first attack. Oh, not Neeb, it's ShoWTimE. Is SC2 ShoWTimE? I can never get his Twitter right. It is SC2 ShoWTimE. Alright, load into the game.
Okay. Yeah. Rakshir. Only one tile with this, and it is the best of 5. So.
Yeah.
We're probably going to have a lot more fights on it again, as everyone converges in the middle.
Alright, well, as stated before, it's going to be a best of 5. Changed things up quite a bit, but we enter Rakshir. Perfectly appropriate for the middle of the map. In the bottom right side, we've got, playing for the Tal'Darim, the defender, ShoWTimE.
In the top left as the blue Protoss, he is Drogo.
Now, what's kind of funny is, while we're contemplating ideas around the board game and what we could do about making things fair versus defender's advantage versus attacker's advantage, we almost borrowed some aspects from the Risk board game where, you know, defender only has to roll like 2 dice instead of 3 and only has to win 2 battles instead of 3 to defend. I'm really glad, like, this is hindsight, that we didn't do something like that with the amount of best of 5s we've had going to like ace matches and stuff. It would have been so lame for those to end early. But unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on your point of view, Rakshir has had a considerable amount of game 5s in these best of 5s.
Yeah. And in fact, I mean, that's why there's been so few best ofs in the last day of Yord, was because there were so many best of 5s. It actually took a really long time. Yeah,
we really expected these to kind of either be quick or around the sides of the map for all these best of 3s. I know Fear Dragon was very adamant in her planning stage about saying, like, oh, someone's just going to attack down the middle of the map, it'll be easy peasy, and be over in like 2 turns. But as we can see, with the constant back and forth going on over Rakshir, it's really hard to just blitz through the center of the map.
Yeah. It is very focused around the map, though. I really actually thought that Harsum would make Puck take Dusk, since you got sent back to the capital anyway, and that would have given them 9 tiles.
Well,
but instead, he's trying to reinforce his middle.
Well, interestingly enough, I think it's actually better to take the ones further away, because you could always have somebody either die or use their recall ability, go back to the capital, and on the next turn claim that one easy peasy. Whereas getting across the map to take a new tile would take 3 or 4 turns. Technically. So I want to actually talk about some of our sudden death ideas that got cooked up for this, guys. There's nothing we're going to do where it's like, okay, day 2, suddenly sudden death and everything's crazy and ridiculous. But, for example, if this goes to a day 4 for the Civil War, we're going to start incrementing things. So, for example, first step is going to be people will be able to move 2 turns per turn instead of just 1, and so forth. So, I don't want to give away too much because players might watch the VODs or listen in, and I don't want them to be able to plan too far ahead. But to give you guys an idea, like, should day 3 have no victor, day 4 people will be able to move 2 tiles at a time. And, again, small little increments like that until eventually it's just going to overwhelm and somebody will get ahead. Somebody will win the game.
Acceleration. Alright. Well, finally seeing a Stargate opener. It's coming out of ShoWTimE here. Last series between Drogo and Puck was very mirror, besides, like, the someone for Dev, someone for Stalkers, everything else was pretty mirrored up. And that led to Puck's defeat. Maybe ShoWTimE mixing things up, going for a completely different composition in the early game will actually cause Drogo to lose, because he did look very powerful in that last best of 3, but against a very standard player.
Alright, a couple of awkward things already. With the Adepts getting picked off, they didn't really get too much done. 2 probe kills is not really worth to Adepts, but also 2 probes rallied to the Natch with about a pylon and a Nexus. Has ShoWTimE been playing Terran and just shift queued buildings or something with SCVs? Like, that's awkward.
The Adepts from Drogo would love to get in here and scout what's coming out of that Stargates.
Yeah.
You didn't even see it be put down, so let's see Stargate in general.
He's going to probably block this off with a pylon,
Yep.
yeah. Nicely done out of ShoWTimE. This was something where I believe it was ShoWTimE actually who did manage to use Stargate, and most importantly is used Phoenix to a great extent. Not just in here the Civil War, but also in general. One of the coolest aspects about Phoenix is they can lift up disruptors. A lot of people kind of forget this element. I know I regularly do until it kind of hits me, and I'm like, oh yeah, they're not massive units. But the Phoenixes can do a lot of damage and harass, and we've seen the dangers of like them in PvP generally speaking. But when it comes down to those late game engagements of what we presume to be Phoenixes versus Disruptors, Phoenixes just crowd controlling the Disruptors go so far in this game.
We saw Welmu attempt it in the Ting group, and it did not go very well. So it's not, there's a reason I guess this is the less desirable, or not desirable, the less used strategy. But it is a very fun one. It's different than just Blink Stalker or Charge Out Immortal, and I think used correctly, or if it's unexpected from the other Protoss, it could actually just, rip out very important units, obviously. Those Disruptors are usually what, Protosses are banking on. But I also know that Drogo has it in him to play not Blink Stalker Disruptor. I mean, obviously he didn't get to any Disruptors last best of 3.
Yeah.
And we did see him use Charge Out Archon and a couple of the other best of 3s you've seen.
Yeah, and since you bring that up, that's going to be an absolutely excellent way to deal with Phoenix if that's something that gets out of hand. Because some of these matches will only have 3 to 5 Phoenixes made in general, and some will have something like 16. So it's kind of important to identify what type of Phoenix build this is going to be and what type of Phoenix play comes out of ShoWTimE. Again, ShoWTimE's gonna have no problem revealing like maybe 5 Phoenix or so, but Drogo won't know whether that's where it stops.
We know that is where it's stopping. Forge comes down and Immortals are starting to be produced.
Yep.
So ShoWTimE's gonna get the faster upgrades, which is that's kind of funny about PvP is that it seems like only one person will get upgrades, another one will wait like a super long time, and it just flips basically on what player, like I guess stylistic, because Hearthstone almost always seems to get fast.
Yeah, Hearthstone has been like the #1 upgrader in this tournament. It's a funny, I guess, statistic to have on your side, but
yeah.
All right, one of the Phoenixes gets picked off, and Drogo's seen no reinforcements and no resupply to 5, so I think he's got an idea, just kind of guessing a little bit here what ShoWTimE's doing. One thing about ShoWTimE that I think is kind of noteworthy is, well, he's a really good player who can do sneaky things like this, for example. He's not the kind of guy to bank up like 50 Phoenix in the back of a base and wait till unleash them all in a Hell Wrath Fury type thing. He's pretty, I'd say, straightforward when it comes to things like that.
The Twilight Council just finished up, and I was going to say I kind of predict him to go for charge lots at this point, and that's exactly what ShoWTimE is doing. So I think this is going to come down to a big fight around that third base of Drogo. I think that ShoWTimE will be the first one to engage, but I don't know. Drogo's got gateways on the way and a Warp Prism. But the point is, like, you know, just a big battle. And if Drogo doesn't have Disruptors and just has Blink Stalker Immortal, then I don't think he'd actually do that well against what ShoWTimE is doing. So.
Well, not only that, but again, consider 3 Phoenix left alive. The timing of this attack, there might be 2 to 3 Disruptors out. Those just swoop in and pick them up. But again, we got more people flooding in and joining us for the first time here for the Yord Civil War. And again, these skins are not something players can see. They look really cool, and the attack animation and the Phoenix look very different and all of these things, but it's only available to us as the observers. The players still see a normal PvP, so there's absolutely no issue with balance or misunderstanding about what's going on. This looks totally normal to them.
Yep. Alright, so, like you said, those Phoenixes could play a very important part if Drogo were to get those Disruptors. Without them, I guess they could still pick up the Immortals, but again, like, Immortals aren't that big of a deal to what ShoWTimE is getting. And, actually, Drogo didn't bother with Immortals either. He's just been building pure Blink Stalker, which I really don't think is going to hold up well. Immortal, Charge Lots, Archons, those are all things that the Blink Stalkers won't take down very quickly, especially if they have any upgrades, and ShoWTimE does have at least a +1 attack upgrade. He's looking to put on a bit of pressure. Gonna be warping in Adepts as the fodder with Resident Enclaves.
It's an interesting timing to be hitting. The Archons are really not that numerous. The Immortal count's not looking too bad either. The Force Fields are going to be kind of funny. They'll be a little bit useless for Drogo as the Archons can crush them, so Guardian Shield is going to be really the only option. His own hallucinations are pretty sick too. Even if you can detect them, they still sit in that front line, soak some hits, block some movement. Not looking too bad as more hallucinations come into play. I love this choice alternative to that of Force Fields, but the Force Fields could be crushed, yet are not for some reason, and now the Immortals die and no chance to break those Force Fields anymore.
ShoWTimE doesn't have that huge bang for like a 6 charge out warp in, but he still has 4 Immortals, so that's still going to be like, you know, risky to blink in on.
Barrier is still the ability on 3 out of the 4 of them too, so it's not even on cooldown on all of them. But Warpins on the front line for Drogo are going to be pretty nice. 5 new Adepts coming to that front line. Looking to get some hits on top of the army. I mean, Adepts will not go down very quickly. Phoenix is going to lift him up, try and help him. Maybe just fly past and go for the Warp Prism. I don't know. Mothership Core comes out, pops off that overcharge right away. Immortal starting to finally get a little bit low, but still standing for them. Hold the line. ShoWTimE somehow still deflected this attack out of Drogo.
I was going to say, picking up the Adepts is probably the best thing the Phoenixes could do. Oh my god. Okay, the Warp Prism does go down. Yeah, the Phoenixes could do, because it was, at any point the Immortals were attacking the Adepts, it's exactly what Drogo would want. So if them out of the way, chugging away those Stalkers, that was never going to work for Drogo, and that did end up going from like a fairly even fight to a really good one for ShoWTimE.
That was an absolutely fantastic defense. These Immortals have like 5 or 6 kills each. This one has 11, excuse me. But they all lived. Replacing these expensive units, not a problem for ShoWTimE. This allows him to perhaps advance forward a little bit more if he'd like. Starts those +2 weapon upgrades, warps in more Templar, gonna get some more Archons. And now Drogo has to really think about what he wants to do. He's got both a Dark Shrine and a Robo Bay coming down. So on one hand, Disruptor production and usage will be fantastic. Disruptors beat out most compositions for the late game that aren't carriers, for example. But the Dark Shrine really throws me for a loop. Because if he wants to go for his own Archons, he certainly can. But if he wants to get a little bit cheesy, he certainly can as well.
I think he realized he was in a very poor position, and that to get into a better one, he wouldn't just need time, like in general, to build like more Stalkers, but also time to get the Disruptors, because Disruptors, I think, is what you really need. Or your own Charge on Immortal composition, which, you know, Drogo's not going to get to anytime soon, so...
That's interesting. He actually just sniped off the Observer of ShoWTimE, so now ShoWTimE has no detection.
Yeah, still has a Robo. I mean, so the DTs, unless they're warped like in like 6 at a time, aren't going to do very much. And this is Drogo's army.
Yeah.
Like this. I mean, this is looking like game unless the DTs can really do something, and Disruptor count can get really, really high somehow for Drogo.
Yeah, if he warps in 1 Zealot, or just straight up focuses the cannon down with like 4 DTs, he can certainly get the cannon before it's too much trouble. It's going to be all DTs coming in. ShoWTimE. Of course, you can't see the actual warp in, but there we go now. Has detection with the cannon, sees what's going on. Gonna depower the pylons, powering the Robo. So no Observer. Nice deny over there. Gonna focus down the Robo next. Ooh, Zombie Grub.
Ooh, that's pretty annoying, but at least there is detection, and with Photon Overcharges, Zealots, I mean, I'm not sure they're going to be able to kill the mineral lines, but they could certainly kill the gateways or more pylons. But ShoWTimE is just like, I think I have a bigger army, let's go for the win here. Oh, charge. charge lots. Okay, they're not helping. Whatever.
His entire production is compromised while this goes on, but he goes for a full-on, full-scale assault. There is an observer on the front lines, so these DTs will not be an easy mode defense for Drogo. Meanwhile, they are still killing in multiple bases over here on the sides. Still gonna tap out, can't take that army on, and ShoWTimE will win game number 1.
GG.
GG. All right, so Ektar in chat had a question, and I'm gonna do you guys a favor. I was gonna play an ad break here. Instead, while we get game 2 up, I'll show you guys how to enter into the Wood Watches giveaway for the $150 code, because it was so politely asked for in chat. So this is instead of Twitch ads, guys. If you go to the website woodwatches.com/base, I know it says /gbase, but if you just type /base, it'll still redirect you here. It'll take you to the Civil War promo page. We've raised $1,600 through 66 watches sold for this tournament. That's the prize pool for the tournament. If you scroll down a little bit, you'll see the request for a discount code. But if you request the discount code and go down one step further and enter in your Twitch username, that's how you enter in for the giveaway for the $150 code. The actual $20 off of a watch, if you guys want to just straight up buy a watch, it's got about 51 hours left on it. But if you want to stick around to the end of stream, and I got to emphasize, you have to be here live at the end of stream to receive this $150 promo code. The first time we did this, we had a lot of people not here. Second time, it wasn't so bad. But generally speaking, you have to be here at the end of stream to get a chance to win that code. Just have a look at the Google Doc. It's all the maps on there. So Drogo's asking for the maps, and for those who don't know, the map pool consists of all the maps available on that Google Doc. The one you guys have access to, as well as you type !brackets in chat. And even though we have some non-Protoss maps on there, they've been reskinned, and Sarah's Station is probably my favorite reskin out of all of them.
It's pretty.
It is. As well, let's not forget, down below, you guys can see the t-shirt sales and the goals. We really would love to sell 25 shirts for each of these teams. So if you guys have considered buying one of these, maybe you really like this tournament, you want to see more like this, consider buying those shirts. 12 currently sold for Drogo, 17 sold for Harstam. So, we don't know. This tournament looks like it'll go to a day 4 at this rate. As we go back to the board for a moment, no one really close to hitting the capital, no one really close to taking all the tiles on the board. But Dusk Towers has been selected out of Drogo, and for those who don't know, it's not Dusk Towers, but actually a map known as Ember Towers. Mm-hmm. Well, Dusk Towers is already a little bit Protoss themed through, I think it was like Shakuris or something. We decided to make it a little bit more regular Protoss theme, so it looks a little more gold and a little bit more pretty. And again, this is all thanks to Avex for helping us make things look so good.
Yep, looks so pretty.
Speaking of pretty, I'm pretty excited for that map Snoop made. I really want to take a look at it.
I definitely want to see it. I'm curious to how balanced it is, first of all. Like, that's the point of the map tournament. But also, like, how quickly do you get bored of one map for the entire cast?
So,
if we get bored.
But so that's the thing, right? I thought this exact same sentiment, but then I thought, well, we'll cast 5 hours of King Sejong into Dusk Towers, into Frozen Temple, or another variation of that. And it's not that boring. So there's some merit and chance it could be a little bit dull, but I think it'll be fine.
We'll see.
We will. Spawning here on the bottom left side, playing for the Templar. He's the one attacking into Rakshir. He's down 1 point. It's Drogo.
And the top right as the red Protoss, he is ShoWTimE.
And it's worth noting, the very first time we saw Drogo in this tournament... Oh, he doesn't actually have anything to hide, but he wants to make it look like he does?
Not yet. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, walling off on Dusk Towers is not, unheard of, but so early it is kind of funny. But it's also kind of funny to see ShoWTimE scout this early. Like,
yes.
He really wants to get in there.
Yes. Well, anyway, so my follow-up point to this was just simply going to be Drogo lost a lot of his series like 0-2 and then would come back and win 3-2 type things. So him starting off at a deficit is not necessarily the worst thing in the world.
Well, this probe's going to go to town for as long as possible.
I mean,
it might kill the flippin' pylon. Cernyx Corsair's finished. You don't really want to build a zealot. Nothing else shoots over the pylon.
Okay, before you get too excited about that, though, we have seen a fair amount of these go down to the red and then get cleaned up. But
I believe in you,
like, I'm actually wondering on timing, because This isn't the normal scout. Because he scouted early, because the pylon came down early, he also started attacking early. Will that be the extra 2 bars of health difference of a pylon dying to a probe or not? And furthermore, is that the most embarrassing thing that can happen to a player?
So it takes 5 licks from a probe to get
To the
1
center of a
health
Tootsie Pop.
bar away from a pylon.
Yeah, I always hated those commercials. That owl was such an asshole. Like, 1, 2, 3 licks, and then he would just bite it. I'm like, that's cheating. You can't just bite it, bro.
Yeah, it's bullshit. This is silly. This is.
I actually think it's gonna die. It's gonna die.
It's gonna die.
It's actually gonna. He has to overcharge 4 health.
Oh,
1 more hit would have killed the pylon. Are you for real? Are you for real? If this didn't have building armor, it would have died. If that probe hit it 1 more time, it would have died. That I can't even believe what we just saw wasn't even that epic or important to the game. Just hilarious based on scouting timing. I can't believe that.
That's the whole reason ShoWTimE scouted early. Totally.
This is like when we started doing Archon mode and we were fighting pros, and like while you were busy macroing, I would actually kill 2 workers with like 1 SCV, and I felt like a god. That's like that kind of moment right there.
Well, I believed in that probe. He almost did it.
Yeah, I think you know what? I think there's quite a few alternate realities where that actually killed the pylon.
Yeah.
Alright, well, Mothership Core wrapping around the side. Again, the map looks a little bit different, but make no mistake, this is Dusk Towers in every essence, just looks different skin-wise. Stalker should be able to drive this off, maybe gets a probe kill. You know what would have been sick? So much better than a probe kill is if that Mothership Core was able to finish off the pylon.
I wondered about it, right? Like, if ShoWTimE had any further pressure, could it have died? But it regains the shields pretty quickly, and with the other pylon next to it to overcharge,
That's true,
it's not even worth sniping, you know, unless you're really going all in and it like supply blocks them, which I mean, it could happen.
The scout on the probe line was actually probably a pretty good one, because also I do believe he saw the robo. Let me just double check for it. Yep, he saw the robo before getting out, so he knows at least the tech path of Drogo and won't have to worry about oracles or something flying to his base too quickly. He is going to hallucinate out an oracle, which is kind of cheeky. Consider Drogo, because he walled himself off, has little to no scouting himself. The observer, if it saw it, would know it's a hallucination, but it's not going to by the looks of things, so this might just be a bit of a surprise, and we'll see if Drogo overreacts or not.
Yeah. I mean, it's really tricky because ShoWTimE also opened up the Stargate already, so it's not like you're like, oh, you never play Stargate, this is obviously a fake. I mean, this could be real. It's almost energy already, or time, or whatever you want to call it. So, it's gonna poof. It's gonna be poof. Poof. Yeah, there we go. Alright, so he knows that it's a fake. It is going to be a Twilight Council for ShoWTimE finishing up Blink right now. I mean, they just kind of, you know, reversed which building they put down first, but both are pretty important buildings, Robo and Twilight Council. So ShoWTimE might have a lot more pressure to apply or a lot more map presence. He's taking a third faster, feeling pretty confident, especially after the Oracle scouted, not just, you know, potentially freaked Drogo out. And is, I mean, not exactly getting a huge lead here, but I think that Drogo might be contained on 3 bases, but it's like, you know, that's not necessarily a problem. It's 3 bases, Dusk Towers, you're usually going to get those. Forge again for ShoWTimE. I guess it's just the Tal'Darim that like the early Forge. I don't know. But he's going to get +1. I mean, he got Blink, so I don't know if he's going to go into charge after this and, like, actually transfer compositions, or he's just getting the upgrade for his Blink Stalkers and, you know, Immortals, and then into Disruptors. It's a nice snipe on the Sentry, and gets a pylon, too.
Maneuverability there was pretty nice. I mean, Blink Stalker all-ins, there are very rare games where that will actually work. I think ShoWTimE very much had the intention of just harassing anyways, and not just kind of playing some guesswork at timings, knowing he'd have a small lead due to the robo opening of Drogo. But there's not much more these stalkers can do, and the worst part is, like, yeah, I think he knows that too.
Yeah. Yeah, but they can, with Blink, you know, they can try and stay in the middle of the map, but you never want to be blinked upon when they're not expecting it, so it is probably just safer for them to go home. ShoWTimE is transferring over into charge after going for Blink, so I'm still not even sure how much Drogo scouted in the last game to know that it was Charge That Immortal Archon when he decided to attack or prepped for the attack, but this game it might be even more of a surprise, as, you know, you saw Blink Stalkers. You might just assume they're going in the same thing that you are.
I'm 100% listening and not just in awe of how cool the Forge looks.
Yeah, alright. The difference in this game, though, is that Drogo's not trying to attack with a gateway-based army into what is, an anti-gateway-based army.
Oh.
He's actually going for double robo with disruptors, and
But
this is where...
Double Spire from ShoWTimE.
Spire? Ooh, that's interesting.
Or, sorry, Stargate. They both start with an S, and they both make flying units, okay? Cut me a break.
Same with Starport. Why would they do that to us?
Actually,
Griffin?
I do get Starport... So it's funny, I legitimately will confuse Robo Bay and Robo Facility in terms of which building actually means which. But I'll oftentimes confuse Stargate and Starport just by misspeaking it. Like, I clearly know which is which, but... This is the first time I've done with Spire. But anyways, my point of this is, if it's double Phoenix production, this is actually going to work out phenomenally for ShoWTimE, because you're just going to be able to pick up all the disruptors, and if you're going for a double Robo build, you're not going to have that many gateway units in the first place. Disruptors are so expensive.
This is where I think this Phoenix thing is a lot more clever. Like, when Wemu did it, I'm sure he's practiced with it and whatnot, but it just never looked like... It never looked clever, despite being, I think, arguably like a more clever move than just brute forcing disruptors. It just was him trying to make them work, and they weren't. He tried like 3 or 4 times.
Stop trying to make fetch happen.
Yeah, exactly. This is clever in that, I mean, okay, so say he predicted Blink Disruptor. Okay, he's already going for the wrong thing, maybe, but I think he realizes what's happening. He's going for his own charge lots. But then you expect it to be charge out Immortal Archon versus charge out Immortal Archon, or I guess still in Drogo's case, the Disruptors. He's still building Disruptors on Immortals. Then the double Stargate with a bunch of Phoenixes is going to be a total surprise. Like...
Well, he saw it with Hallucinated Phoenix, I believe. Hang on, let me check.
He should have seen the one Stargate? No,
he saw
both
both.
Stargates. Yeah, he saw both Stargates. But that's still going to be like a very tough battle to protect your disruptors from getting lifted up, especially if you are getting your own charge lots. I guess the Archons instead of the Splash.
That's where I like that out of Drogo. Those are units that will not be easily crowd controlled. They'll deal with the Zealots on the front line pretty well. He's made a good response to realizing what was going on. But unfortunately, the response he's made it kind of mirrors what his opponent's doing, but also a little bit worse. I don't know. But we got all the cool skin units this time. We got the Templar with the axes and the old school disruptors coming in. This will be, I feel it should be okay for the defense. Disruptors will be just enough to tilt this in the favor of Drogo, and the ShoWTimE can seriously take one hell of a sick engagement.
I am very curious how this is going to look. ShoWTimE is warping a couple more Archons. He's got +2 finishing up, so it's a pretty perfect time for him, but it is going to be into pylons. And it looks like Drogo's a Warp Prism going into the natural as well. ShoWTimE just, I just won't deal with it for now, I guess. Quick Overcharge may be able to. And he's going to try and poke, but yeah, that's a pretty solid defensive setup from Drogo.
Again, a lot of people ask about the discount code, guys. All you gotta do is make sure your Twitch name is added to the bottom of that form. It's the exact same thing as if you're requesting a $20 gift code, but adding your Twitch name will enter you in for the raffle simultaneously.
ShoWTimE has 20 seconds before the upgrades are going to be even.
Ooh, nice shot.
He needs to get those Phoenix in there. Oh no, they're a little bit late.
They are. The charge lots are freaking out behind the Archons, though. They're on the wrong side of the fight to start, so the Archons go down for Drogo immediately. Phoenixes are lifted up. Every single high-tech unit, the Immortals on top of the Disruptors, all removed from the fight before it even had a chance to begin. However, Drogo's charge lot numbers look to be pretty damn good. They break those front lines. Stalkers blinking forward. ShoWTimE now out of supply, and only with Phoenix in the air, not enough to kill the rest of what Drogo has. GG gets called, and Drogo will take a great defensive game 2.
Yeah, that supply just spiraled.
That went like even like really quick.
Yeah, it definitely did.
All right, folks. Well, hang tight. We're going to go play a commercial break. We'll be back in 2 minutes with more of this series. Game 3 in the best of 5 when we return. All right, folks. We're back. We're just going to hop directly into game number 3. It is tied up on water. We're going to Ire Shipyard, which is a reskin version of Orbital Shipyard, a map that these two are both plenty well versed in playing. It was on the map pool for like a year or something if you include the beta. But of course, all these map reskins and retextures make everything look a little more Protossy and are made thanks to Avex and his contributions to the tournament. So you can see his name there above the mini-map, one of the more active map makers out there. Thank you very much to him. But thank you guys for tuning in. Spawning here in the upper right side, it's going to be the blue Protoss representing the Templar, PtitDrogo.
In the bottom left as the red Protoss, he is ShoWTimE.
attacking with the Tal'Darim. We're actually defending with the Tal'Darim. That's right. Drogo's the one who attacked into ShoWTimE. Once again, early probe goes out. Can he get the same magic that happened before? I'm thinking not. But he wants to. But he wants to. Round 2. Here we go.
It is kind of funny with such an early scout. I mean, you either get into their base and you stay in their base, because in PvP there's not much that will kill the probe early on. Even if you get a zealot, like, it'll just chase it around, right?
Oh, the jukes! He just juked out that probe. That's so stupid.
But if they try and block you out like Drogo did last game, like, it still is a chance for the probe to kill it, so it's kind of silly. Anyway, the jukes to get in here it's cool, and it will get that scout, like that really long-term scout that is just going to be able to know exactly what Drogo is doing. And ShoWTimE goes for a Nexus with such a good scout, while Drogo does put down his second gateway. Yeah,
actually, the probe jumping out of here to check that would be pretty important. I wonder how big of a deal pylon block might actually be as well, considering the army would have to knock that down. But he wants to get to that front line and see that it's 2 gateways. Of course, he's walling off over here on his own, so it's not going to be too bad. But with his Nexus first, if he didn't do this, of course, the depths would come in. He'd never be able to keep up with it, and it would just be a bad time all around. But, I mean, well, we watch a lot of games of, for example, TVT. And you can see 1 base builds working against 2 base builds quite often over there. The potential is certainly here for a PvP, but it's not nearly as obvious or exceptional as when you see it in a TVT. Like, for Drogo to 1 base this is going to be really tough to pull off.
Yeah, we've seen a 1 base build once or twice, and that's usually accompanied by something with a proxy, you know, so like a true one. But without that pylon down, with like a robo coming down in front of ShoWTimE's base, I do wonder what Drogo's plan is to actually, well, help here. It looks like it's just going to be pylon rushing. Okay, it's been a long time since we've seen this, just right in the mineral lines. And of course, ShoWTimE reacts immediately.
Your probe's in there. I mean, it's going to get 2 overcharges if he gets over there. The one on the backside is what interests me the most, but these ones in the mineral lines are a big problem. He had to pull a lot of probes off to deal with this.
This is going to work. ShoWTimE has his own poison overcharge now, and the mothership from Drogo is still way out.
Yeah, this ends up just being a huge dedication of... This was his expansion, if we're going to be honest.
Yeah, and he still has to clear up the probes to even get to the expansion. This is so much wasted minerals.
How much was this worth? I mean, for Drogo, look at this. He did spike ahead 400 minerals per minute. This has lasted about a minute-ish.
So he made up for the pylons he used.
Right, it's funny to consider that being the case, but that was actually almost cost-effective. Not entirely so. I mean, he's still down to Nexus. He loses the mothership core. This game's not going well for him in any regard, but still, that was oddly enough cost-effective.
It was something. I was trying to follow up with a Stargate. Remember that ShoWTimE still has a damn probe in the Nexus, and she sees that Drogo is just falling behind. So, like, what are you going to do when you're falling behind? Go for a Stargate, go for the Dark Shrine. That probe could easily go out of denying the Nexus, being a little annoying, and scout what exactly Drogo
pylon block it. Yeah! Yeah, ShoWTimE!
ShoWTimE is having the craziest probe right now. Like, Drogo's gonna be so angry at it. He scouts the Stargates and the Chrono on nothing. That's a little unfortunate. There you go, the Oracle's on the way out. But, like, well, no, like, ShoWTimE's gonna have a mothership core in position. He's gonna have Stalkers in position. I don't know.
His name was Robert Paulson.
Was it?
No. The Oracle is not getting anything done. I'm looking around right now. There's just no way. It may be a little bit exposed in the natural base. What has spooked him so badly with this? I guess... Still seeing that there's nothing going on, he has an idea that something's coming, but ShoWTimE has very intentionally put all of his probes in the main. 28/16 for that oversaturation, and doesn't want anything exposed over here, and I'm really curious as to why. Like, what did he see?
If there's 2 or 3 Stalkers, it might be more, or Oracles, but it's only the one. It might be more that he doesn't want the front to be busted, and if he has to leave Stalkers back in the natural, then the front could be, but... Now he transfers the probes as the Oracle comes in. I think he transferred, his army down there too. So
I was curious what he saw to give this way. He did see the actual Stargate finish up on the other side of the map, but it was nothing close to seeing Oracle timing. But regardless, he is well defended against this. And ShoWTimE, I think, is fully aware how far ahead economically he is. You know, despite that little pylon shenanigans over there, is kind of cute to watch. He knows he had that natural base down for so much longer. He pylon blocked his opponent, so that took a long time to even get this Nexus started, much less it's still not even close to finishing. I mean, he can kind of play it a bit chill. There's no necessity for ShoWTimE to move out and do damage or cause any sort of diversions. Like, he's perfectly fine just chilling at home and macroing.
I don't see how this game is gonna, like, go in the other, like, swing in the other way. Maybe if Drogo took a super fast third base, but he'd still have to catch up on probes to even saturate said third base. And ShoWTimE, of course, once he saw that, if he saw it, might just attack. So, ShoWTimE has taken the income graph lead, absolutely. I mean, farther than never before, and it's just getting worse and worse as he saturates his bases.
Like 800 spiking up there. Nice pickup on the Observer. So,
sure.
For those who don't know, again, we got people joining us. It's all PvP. This whole tournament is only PvP. We did it because that's the whole point of a Civil War. And it was a giant test and has been, and so far so good. So great, I'd even say. But there's definitely potential that in the future we can do other things. We do want to see things like t-shirt sales and watch sales. They'll make it so that these tournaments, these fun sort of ones that don't require standard brackets, that, you know, fun sponsors like Yord are willing to experiment with us on. Because for others, they're like, no, we just want a simple return on our investment. We know this format works, so please use this style. And that's okay. We get great events like Ting Open and stuff because of things like that. But I love being able to play and experiment, and I hope we can do more in the future for certain. Also, quick reminder, the sponsor representative from Yord will play against the sponsor representative from Ting in a show match at the end of the month. Date still to be determined.
This was a pretty big oversight from ShoWTimE. Those oracles could have gotten more probes, probably. But
even with 9 workers killed, the only way Drogo pulls ahead is if he gets to get away with his third base, which I'm not sure he will. There's an attack looming out of ShoWTimE. It has a Warp Prism, and tech is, with Blink, much better for him. It's no Blink on the horizon for Drogo whatsoever.
But Drogo does have Immortals, which you get 3 Immortals. It's going to be hard to blink into.
Yeah, but I mean, like right now, look at this. Force field that ramp. Boom.
Yeah, that is the trickiest thing, is that Blink will be able to actually maneuver from the third base to the main base, potentially.
Ooh. This was clever. He kept the sighted stalkers back for a while.
Yeah. Kind of forget that there's back rocks in here. It's been a long time since I've seen Orbital.
Picks up the sentries, goes to the main. We might see ShoWTimE try and bait this go the wrong direction. For example, if all the units are down on the low ground, he could force field that ramp and blink up to the high ground, or vice versa. Force field's going down nonetheless, keep those Immortals back. We're going to have some Adepts warping on the front line to soak some of these hits. Not looking too bad. Overcharge gets popped, but it doesn't reach more than a couple of Stalkers. ShoWTimE is in a bit of an odd spot, though, because he can still pull back from this, but this is becoming a little more dedicated than I think he had initially intended. Oh, yeah, especially with the Warp Prism going down. He's got no more high ground vision. Just kind of struggling. Drogo!
Oh my god, he's losing his army. He thinks of the high ground.
Yeah, but look at that Void Ray. Melts the Stalkers alongside the Oracle. ShoWTimE's entire army just dies, and he's a whole third base behind.
Yeah, now it's ShoWTimE who's behind workers and that third base. The third base is actually finishing up, but he lost a big chunk of that army.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I got nothing against somebody like Drogo winning, but if Drogo can win, oh my god. He wins off of such a stupid game.
He was in such a good lead, and then that third base was just...
I thought...
break it.
I liked the idea of where he was going, but he totally panicked. Like, when that overcharge went off, it just seemed like that was the panic button. Everyone hit the floor, start dancing, like Panic at the Disco.
Yeah, that could have gone other ways, I suppose. I mean, he probably just... And in hindsight, he was probably like, oh, I should just taken a third base and just gotten super far ahead, and then that would have been a problem. But instead, he didn't take a third base, and he felt the necessity to kill Drogos. It didn't work out.
Either way, that's going to be a 2-1 lead for Drogo, but it's a best of 5 and not a best of 3. So we'll get to game number 4. It's going to be ShoWTimE's pick. And we'll see you guys in 2 minutes. Thank you for watching. All right, folks, we're back. Game number 4. It's actually his lead now. In the bottom right side, he's up 2-1. In this best of 5 battle for Rakshir, he's the one attacking. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my Insanity's Drogo.
In the top left as the red Protoss, he is ShoWTimE.
So I really do want to know what got to ShoWTimE at the end of that game. Like, obviously, it's the middle of the series. I can't pull him aside and be like, bro, what's going on? But it was so clear to me. I was watching the stream delay, too. Like, just how much he panicked and freaked out. I mean, he had Blink on his side. He could have pulled away with the Warp Prism in a couple of different small engagements there, but chose to blink instead. Like, ShoWTimE did not have to take that fight. And I really am truly curious what was going through his mind that made him think otherwise that he did. Like, was the third base just too daunting?
I think that was probably it. Like, I think the issue is that he didn't have to take that fight in particular. Like, he could have kept pressuring and poking and prodding and abusing this Warp Prism and playing Stalker and not actually ever, you know, committed 100% to a fight. But he committed literally 100%, like all of his army, not just a couple of Stalkers. And I guess, I mean, maybe there was... He saw the third base, realized he didn't have his own, so he felt necessity to do something. That makes sense. But I guess the question is more like, why didn't he just play the macro game? Like, why didn't he just get his own third base first and with more probes and continue to extend his lead? And that might have been something that was just, you know, simply over defensive. Like, you don't know what Drogo's doing after that scout on the Oracle, and you just you think maybe there's like proxy gateways over to like the left or the right or something like that. I don't know.
So I'm giggling two different reasons. One, first off, I'm noting ShoWTimE didn't send out an early probe, so I guess the second follow-up was just because the first one did so well. Secondly, someone actually did clip this. I love people who use Twitch clips. It makes me so happy because A, it's a way to watch stuff that happened without worrying about paying for the VODs through subscriptions, but also it's just cool and awesome and fun to share, and this guy actually uploaded it to Reddit, so thank you to Promiscuitive. I'm sorry if I'm saying that name wrong, but just looking at it at a glance, thank you for clipping. And of course, for those who don't know, well, the clip contest does not apply to non-Ting events. We do have a clip contest going on. So while you're watching the stream and you want to learn how to clip or make cool clips, it's so easy. Click a button. Twitch does the rest for you.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I don't know if this is going to be right, I'm guessing here, but right around here-ish on the overlay somewhere of your Twitch broadcaster, there should be a little, it looks like a movie clapper, like when they go, action! All you got to do is clip that. It takes out like a 30-second segment.
Yeah, I'm really glad that so many people like know it's here too. Like now I know it's there, so I'm like trying to use it. But someone used it on my stream last night when I played Yakety Sax. Playing Fantasy 10.
What is Yakety Sax?
You know that song, the God, how does it go? It's like a really clown one that people use for when there's something stupid happening.
Oh, okay. I think I can kind of guess. Like if it's Final Fantasy, they have the same sounds for like everything. Two probes go down, by the way, and the Adepts get a decent scout, but nothing too revealing beyond what you would expect. Again, actually, I take this back. They didn't see the Nexus. That was terrible scouting. This is huge misinformation for ShoWTimE, where he may believe Drogo's one basing it, because he sees two gateways and two gases, but didn't see the Nexus, even though it was right freaking there.
Yeah, that is a little problematic. Let's see how much that affects him. Well, Drogo is pushing forward, I guess is a little more important. He has a proxy pylon, but it's slow warp-ins, you know, it's not going to be super dedication. This has got to work, but it is going to be more army than what ShoWTimE has. The photon overcharge is going to help a lot, the force field's going to help a lot, but if he, you know, underreacts or, you know, just is looking somewhere else for 2-3 seconds, it could be a big deal.
Well, so here's what I love about this follow-up, right? Okay, this attack gets in here and he gets aggressive. Drogo may or may not win this fight. But again, based on the scouting from ShoWTimE, this looked like something a one base all-in would lead towards. Like this really aggressive, huge soccer push with countless, relentless warp-ins behind it. So he might just misread the situation that follows this up. This was a huge loss for Drogo, though. Like it was going to be hard to call this effective in any way, shape, or form. Gets to the main with the stalker, funny enough, and scouts everything. Kind of fakes out upgrades on the Twilight with that Chrono Boost.
That was a good scout at the very least, but you're right. Drogo did not have a very good fight there. You know, part of what helped was, of course, the force field going down and the second force field as well barely being in time. Now, Drogo is down 5 workers for probably skipping 1 or 2 to get the more army, but he's on his way to a very quick robotics bay. This isn't the first time that we've seen Drogo try and do disruptor drops. The last time we saw him, I think it failed completely, but it's probably hoping that doesn't happen again. Actually do some damage, or they just lose the Warp Prism.
If Drogo, first off, there's no way that Drogo believes that ShoWTimE misunderstands the base layout. And ShoWTimE, as much as I was thinking he misunderstood the base layout, I don't think he actually did. Because he's taking his third instead of going for a crazy army. He's not bulking up everything here for what is either an all-in or defense against an all-in. He's continuing to play macro. So it's a bit of guesswork. But you bring up the topic of disruptor drops, and I find this interesting because while the disruptor drops can sometimes be good, well, actually, hold that thought. It's actually stalker drops. What?
Okay, that's not what I expected. Now the robotics bay, but okay. So a little bit of pressure. Maybe he could have gotten the mothership core if she was really out of position.
I mean,
you know, the potion overcharges.
He doesn't have blink, but the warp prism will help him micro as if he did.
Yeah. So this is pressure while going for double robo disruptor. So no third base still from Drogo, and ShoWTimE's about to scout that, and that's a little suspicious. I mean, a 2-base disruptor all in. The problem I can see with that is just that if the disruptors don't get a good hit, then like it's more all in than any other all ins ever existed, right? If they just completely miss. But I'll see if it can at least stop ShoWTimE's third base, because it's now like damn far ahead.
I never realized the little stalker tiny arms like move when they shoot. There's so much detail in StarCraft. I love it.
It is a very well done game.
So we had pylon scatter in the north, and it was mostly I think to scout for again things like that warp prism. This pylon coming in the front line is a little bit awkward. Not paired up with a gateway or anything, what makes warp in so slow, but it is in a position to scout anything that would move through this path. He's gonna block out the third as well, which again, while useful, is still also equally annoying. The disruptors are skinned a little bit, as we can see. They look a bit different. We got the bubbles, yeah. This was actually the original disruptor skin. The replicator actually was the original version. This was a unit designed in the original beta to copy another unit from another race, which I thought was kind of funny. Ended up not going through at all. We ended up with disruptors instead.
Yeah, wasn't that was the Heart of the Swarm beta? That was a long time ago.
No, I think replicators were for Legacy, although they may have been for Heart of the Swarm and I didn't know about it.
I thought they were for Heart of the Swarm, because I remember the Legacy of the Void, we were learning about all the new units, and we walked into BlizzCon, and we definitely didn't hear about the replicators then, or play with replicators in the tests we did.
What new units did come in Heart of the Swarm? Tempests.
Yeah, Tempests, and one other thing, pretty sure, but can't remember right now. Oracles, obviously. There you go.
Boom.
Stargate. They got all the Stargate stuff. Anyway, whatever. So Drogo doesn't have a third base, and he has. I mean, it's just like it really looks he's not even going to take one. And this army moving out here, it's not a bigger army supply wise, but it does have disruptors.
Though. Yeah. I mean, things like these sentries and the immortals are not going to be able to dodge disruptor hits. Stalkers can. That's the point of Blink and the emphasis on their mobility.
Base trade?
Well, maybe. I just want to point out real quick, Drogo doesn't have Blink coming into this, though, so he's got to be very careful with his Stalkers as well. And while this might base trade out, I think it base trades a little bit better for Drogo, because, again, he's got more units on the other side of the map. He's not going towards the third. That's where the army currently is. It's going to be a little bit awkward as those Zealots coming from behind. Those Disruptors will have an easy time getting hits. Sure, not know about the third. He does know about the third, so he's doing this on purpose.
He does. Okay. Yeah. I actually think this is gonna go in favor of ShoWTimE, unless those others can get those good hits, and that's always the question: can they get them? Well,
so far it's looking like they just might. Force field's come down to trap all the probes. It's gonna be one base stuck over here. Stalkers are killing things, but very slowly over there. You know, Warp Prism gets picked off, it's kind of a big deal, but, you know, it's things like Adepts, or not even Adepts, more like Zealots and stuff that'll tear down these buildings, not so much Stalkers. So ShoWTimE's going to lose everything here in the main, lost his entire natural base. He can't move up here to defend because of those Disruptors, but his third doesn't look too bad. There's a whole sea of pylons, going to be a lot of overcharges. Drogo, on the other hand, has lost everything, bleeding out probes that are trying to run away across the map, build a Nexus anywhere, frankly.
Well, this is going to be interesting. If Drogo can build a Nexus in the main or natural, then it'll always be his Disruptors on top of a ramp versus, and his force fields too, versus ShoWTimE trying to break up said ramp.
He may not even be considering, he may just be thinking about building pylons and prolonging his life rather than recovering through macro. I love this probe that goes in first to scout. 3 overcharges get popped, but that is all the overcharges. Disruptors go a little bit forward, they get some decent hits. Almost loses one for it.
He only has 3 though, so whenever he uses 2 like that, that's only 1 more. And the rest are on cooldown? That's scary for Drogo.
Yeah, so there's 2 Phoenix. If they pick up the 2 that have shots ready to go, it'll cancel the shots. They won't be able to get detonations coming from the backside. Those Stalkers coming in.
No,
Drogo's army not looking good. Looks like ShoWTimE's about to surround. If this army goes down, this will go to a game 5. But right now, ShoWTimE still has to win the game. That's the hard part of this. He's not going to kill all the buildings. He's looking to kill the army. This is where the game is going to end.
That ended up being a more awkward trade than it had to be. ShoWTimE actually not using his Phoenix for that Disruptor, but only 1 Disruptor left. It's very low. ShoWTimE could blink on top of it. Or away. There we go. I think ShoWTimE has got this.
He should.
Final battle happening here. Pick up the Immortals. There you go.
And let's not forget, there's still pylons and stuff on the back end, so overcharge is impossible. GG does get called, though, and ShoWTimE will tie up the series 2-2. Something about Rex Shear and bloody ace matches, man. No complaints. But this middle tile has gone back and forth every single time we've been on it. So, that being said, we will go to a small break, and when we return, we'll see what happens. We did get another shirt sale for PtitDrogo, by the way. That brings them up to 13 shirts sold now. Woo! So remember, we got about 7 days left on this. Make sure to get in while you can, guys. We'll be back in a few moments. All right, final game has been selected. It's Habitation Station. This is a map available in the map pool, one we haven't seen much of or any of, really. So this will be kind of interesting. Swap me with ShoWTimE, please.
Okay, I guess so.
And ShoWTimE race. There we go. But yeah, as chat's already on top of it with the emotes, ace match time. Yep. This will determine who takes control of the middle of the board. So before we go into the game, just a reminder for everyone what it looks like. If Drogo wins this, he'll reclaim the center tile on the board, arguably one of the most hard tiles to claim for the Templar. If ShoWTimE wins, though, he defends it for the Tal'Darim. And of course, this board is pretty important. It's not just a silly graphic we've made up. This entirely is what determines what matches get played, who plays against whom, etc. Or who plays against who. I always get whom and who messed up. Point of it being, we are in game number 5. It's tied up 2-2 here in the Yord Woodwatch's Civil War. And in the upper right side of Habitation Station, we've got Mind Sanity's PtitDrogo.
In the top left as the red Protoss, he is ShoWTimE.
And again, quick reminder, speaking of Woodwatches, guys, make sure you go to woodwatches.com/base and enter in to get a $150 code for their site. Again, that code will guarantee you to get one of their cheaper watches on the free or one of their expensive watches on the cheap. All you got to do to enter to win is fill out that small form. If you scroll down, it's the exact same. This is where I think there's some confusion. It's the exact same thing as if you were requesting the $20 off code. You enter your name and your email address, and you scroll down like 2 lines further and enter in your Twitch name. And if you're here live at the end of the broadcast, we'll be drawing from that pool of Twitch names. So again, we have like 1,700 people tuned in right now. I would love to see like 150, at least 170-ish people entered in, because this code is worth $150, and you can enter it like anywhere in the world, guys. Their website says worldwide shipping, so I'm going to assume that means worldwide shipping. So please, no matter where you're tuning in from, take a chance to win. The other thing about Yord, by the way, is they've promised us this, and through 3 different tournaments with them, it's been pretty consistent. Even though you're entering your email, you're not going to get flyers and spam, or you shouldn't. It happened one time by mistake when we first set up the system because it was handled incorrectly. But since then, it's been pretty good. Nobody's gotten spammed by them, and their whole point of this is just seeing participation, more so than trying to gain customers or anything like that. So please, please, please enter in for that $150 code. It's going to be totally worth your while.
Yep. So Happy Sensation, we saw this before at least once, because remember that it was Puck tried to, or actually successfully accomplished,
you're right,
proxying a Robo.
Yeah, I had forgot about that. That was like the only game we've seen of this, though. But again, really quick, this is the Templar vs. Tal'Darim mod. This is available for anybody to use on the Battle.net thanks to nice username. However, if you play the game, you won't get to see these cool skins. Players do not get to see the really awesome Tal'Darim dark-skinned buildings or units, and the Templar don't get to see those zealots with the axes. In-game, this is entirely just a normal PvP for both sides.
Yep. So it's not too surprising to see ShoWTimE bring out the Stargates, both because he has done it before, but also with Habitation Station being close by air. As you can see, the mothership cores both passing each other. Your Oracle will get there pretty quickly, or your Phoenix, or whatever.
It's a close-ish by air. It's not that much closer than if you just walked units across.
It's actually not. I mean, that's why I think Habitation Station was around the same time people just stopped using close by air as like a... Jesus.
Oh my god!
A describing factor of
that,
bases. But
that has a pylon amount of health on it.
But the point is that you can get from the tip of corner of your base to the tip corner of your opponent's base, and then fly out usually because there's a lot of dead space.
Well, we had like Stargates would always go down right here, especially when it was like Oracles versus Terran in Heart of the Swarm, and sorry, I'm just kind of shuddering remembering that. The timing on that, but it is going to be an Oracle out of ShoWTimE in the back of the base. Now, Drogo did have the mothership core over here, but he did not scout this, so unbeknownst to him. But two cool things happened in this exchange. One is he was able to fly back home instead of recall. So he's got plenty of overcharges available. Secondly, Mineral Line's going to be protected. There's sentries here. There's going to be a stalker or two if necessary as he pulls them back home. This Oracle will not get much damage done.
Shouldn't. Could go for the sentry. Oh, or these transferring probes. That's
okay. This was not supposed to get much damage done.
Still isn't getting so much. Like 4 and surviving is kind of the bare minimum, I think, for an Oracle.
Yeah.
And then maybe like 8 and dying. The current actual situation on the board is that if ShoWTimE holds this, then they could get not just, 9 tiles potentially, because I assume the dust towers will eventually be taken, right? They could actually get 10, because ShoWTimE could move into Neeb, and then Puck could move into... Oh, actually, no, Puck's not close to a Templar one yet. Huh, that'll be interesting. Okay, they're probably just going to fight over the middle for the next 4 turns. Never mind. I thought there was a land grab opportunity. But anyway, the Oracle living now can put this ward down, and that's going to be annoying for Drogo if he wants to take a 3rd base, and he probably does. I've seen by this probe. He knew. He knew what was up.
That looks really cool. We've never actually seen the Tal'Darim stasis trap go off until just now. Oh, I didn't have enough energy to hit it more than once. Are you serious?
Tap. Okay, bye.
ShoWTimE, please. Okay, that's awkward. Well, unfortunately, while he does buy some time to delay the Nexus, it's nothing too extreme. I just want to point out, by the way, I love watching Drogo and ShoWTimE clash off of one another. I really was pretty concerned that by day 3 we'd be very bored of these PvPs, but I think it's pretty safe to say this whole series has been a little topsy-turvy and kind of exciting. Whether it's the probe 4 health pylon moments to like the big engagements, but I'm really hoping this one we get to see like the cleanest possible game out of both. So far, small mistakes made, but like nothing too devastating yet. Nexus gets taken, and ShoWTimE really needs to scout this, especially with how active this Oracle's being.
This could be good news for ShoWTimE, granted if he scouts it again. That he was able to not just deny the 3rd base for like, a small time. Drogo wanted it just a little bit sooner, but forced Drogo to take it at the other base, this gold base. Like, yes, it's a gold base, so you'd think that Drogo would be happy to take this, but it is also closer to your opponent, and defending against it can be a little complicated, because if you go up your ramp to have the high ground against the low ground attacker, then they'll just force field you off and go to your natural. So it can be tricky. That's actually kind of a clever one, and it is scouted. Not a big deal. Anyway, their compositions, we have ShoWTimE only just now putting down a Twilight Council. So he did to get his Stargate tech, then his Robotech, and of course his upgrades that he's been getting. Drogo is going for Resonant Glaives and Blink, so maybe a similar attack to the very first game that we saw, except that this time ShoWTimE won't have his Charge Lots and Archons ready.
Well, Oracle zipping and zapping, but not really scouting at the very least. This attack's in range to kill a couple. There's that one probe from earlier. Nice force fields to trap another, but I mean, 2 force fields burned for a probe. Not actually that worth it.
Nope.
I mean, it's free energy, sure, but oh, here comes the Oracle. Surprise, surprise. Wasn't quite ready for this, but also fails at killing things.
That could have been better, but oh well. Especially if you knew he was going to die anyway. Oh well, that Oracle has done quite a bit. I mean, 2 stasis traps, a bit annoying, and of course, I think like 9 probes is good life for an Oracle.
Okay, well, ShoWTimE coming to this potential fight on the horizon. He's down a considerable amount of Stalkers. He's got more Immortals, which is great, but Drogo also has upgrades on his side, so his Stalker lead could actually be very effective as he continues to harass this base. You know, let's not forget his gold income gave him a few extra minerals to work with, but the fact that they're both saturated on these thirds gives them pretty close income counts, so no one really leading right now. Just Drogo got there faster.
Yeah, they just swapped in the income graph. The Archons are ready, but Charge is not. And well, it's actually not even any Charge Lots.
Breaking the force fields is one of the minimum requirements ShoWTimE was hoping to have. Unfortunately, though, the Immortals on the top side don't have any cover for them, so they're getting shelled away up by these Stalkers. Really shouldn't be happening. Drogo blinks in, takes such a decisive fight. ShoWTimE a little bit on the ropes now. He's warping in a couple of Zealots, but they're not going to do much without that charge. And while there's a couple of things like Graviton Beams and Photon Overcharges, Drogo seems to be taking this fight pretty easily. like
Yeah.
laid back easily.
The difference right there in ShoWTimE winning with like 10 more supply and losing as he might right now are those
gosh.
3 immortals that were all hitting adepts as opposed to stalkers.
Yeah.
And exactly
Nice focus
what
fire.
Drogo wanted.
Huge probe surround. This looks hilarious, but ShoWTimE I think knows where he's at. This looks like Drogo's gonna claim the middle town. He said it earlier, right? He was like, we worked so hard for it. I can't believe they just walked in and took it back. But unfortunately,
GG.
Tal'Darim will not hold on to it for very long. Templar will advance, and Drogo takes control of the middle of the board.
Very nice.
So congratulations on that, but also beating ShoWTimE in a best of 5 is certainly noteworthy. ShoWTimE now just going to be sent back to the capital. Drogo claiming this tile in the name of the Templar. Now, there's been some questions in chat, and there's some fair points to this. Like, it's hard to tell who's who, I guess, if you haven't been tuning in and you don't really know what's going on. But Neeb, Drogo, and Lilbao are all the Tal'Darim. Everyone else are the Templar. Everyone else are the Tal'Darim. But there we go. Middle tile taken. Gives 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 tiles to the Templar. So still not leading enough to win this game, to win this series through map control. But now it's Neeb's turn, and we'll see where Drogo chooses to send him. My assumption is to the south, to Habitation Station. Just a land grab. It makes the most sense. At the same time, though, he may want him to advance forward and then attack into Puck. I'm unsure. We'll find out, though, when we return from this break, as the players will be making their moves, and we'll see you guys soon.